Abel Tesfaye, also known as The Weeknd, is a Canadian singer and songwriter that has been active for over a decade. And more than likely at this point it's safe to say you've probably seen his face or heard his music somewhere. He's done a lot of big performances such as Coachella all the way to the Super Bowl halftime show. He is also on the radio a lot. In 2010, Tesfaye met a producer who had the idea of making a dark, contemporary R&B project, and after hearing how well Tesfaye could freestyle over the instrumental, decided to start producing some songs for the artist. Up until this point, he has only been releasing his own stuff onto his own YouTube channel. Being able to have 3 songs produced at that time was pretty big for anybody. The 3 tracks that came out were What You Need, Loft Music, and The Morning. And after uploading these onto YouTube, the attention of the new artist started to grow. Drake even at one point included the song in a blog post. It took a little bit of time, but eventually he was able to meet with some bigger executives, and a record label finally picked him up and released some mixtapes for everybody to hear. There were 3 mixtapes that came out: House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence. All of them received great reviews and were generally well received. The success of these mixtapes allowed him to have his first tour in Toronto. It was after a performance that he met Drake in person, and that's when he was able to become an opening act for him, and everything just kept going from there. The Weeknd kept getting bigger and bigger, and he started releasing albums, touring the world, and everything was going great. As of this video, there is 5 albums: Kissland, Beauty Behind the Madness, Starboy, After Hours, and Dawn FM. Dawn FM, the 5th studio album, released on January 7th, 2022. It's a pretty good album, and people definitely agree. And of course, like the previous albums, it was gonna have a tour. The After Hours Till Dawn tour was officially announced on July 14th, 2022. Now, wait. You may notice that the name is kind of weird, and you realize that it has After Hours in the tour title as well. That's his 4th studio album. Is this a coincidence? Not really. After the release of After Hours, The Weeknd was supposed to go on tour to promote that album. The After Hours tour had the unfortunate timing of starting when this little thing called COVID-19 was starting to flare up around the world. Originally, the tour was going to be from June 2020 to November 2020, but for very obvious reasons, it got postponed to 2021. Oops. 2021 was still bad for COVID, and once again, it all got pushed back to 2022. After it was pushed back, they decided they were just going to outright cancel the After Hours tour. After a little bit of waiting, everybody was preparing to announce a new tour. It was going to be an all-stadium tour to work around sizing constraints. The idea this time though was, since Dawn FM was the newest album, they might as well group both the tours into one. Before the tour even announced the venues and the dates, everything had to be delayed a little bit because of the ongoing Ukrainian war. When the announcement came out, the North American leg of the tour had Doja Cat as the opening act, and tickets went on sale in March for the shows in the summer. By the time May rolled around, Doja Cat announced that she had to drop out because of her tonsil surgery. And unfortunately, a new act had to be found really fast because, a tour is fast approaching. Finally, on July 8th, the first concert of the tour was going to be in Toronto at the Rogers Centre, taking place in his hometown. Then the Rogers network went down for all of Canada, making everything really difficult and caused the first stop to be cancelled and postponed to the end of the tour instead. There were not many notable events that happened after the Rogers network went down. That was until his concert on September 3rd that had to end abruptly in the middle of a song. His voice just went out. This is something that can happen to people, and it even happened to Elton John a few years ago. The September 3rd concert is going to happen at a later date for the fans, but it has not been announced yet. So this leaves us with just the final few postponed concerts, and eventually the North American tour should come to an end. I started making this video shortly after he lost his voice and had to stop his most recent show. I'm curious if anything else could go wrong for this man and his tour at this point. I hope that the final 3 shows can go off without any issues, and if anything does change or happen, I'm going to be updating the comments down below, so you just keep informed. It's only a few days away, so we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.